is pick four for Friday, August 23rd, late pick four. Starting off with race 9, 6 furlongs on the dirt. Allowance race, $100,000. I got kind of weird in this race. I think these four races are kind of interesting, and then I didn't do the pick five because there's just so many ways these couple races can go, I think. But I do have just a single in this pick four, so I'm doing a lot of other horses in the other races. I got at least three here. I'll start off with the one, Dafuski Island. I think that's how you say that. He's got some good. I think the pace in this race is a little weird, but it might suit him as long as it's not too fast. And he's got some good late pace, switching to Dylan Davis inside inside post position, and at the 6 furlongs, I don't know if that's as disadvantaged as the 7 furlongs at Saratoga. So I think he can handle it. I think the only problem is if the pace gets too quick, he might not. He might be competing with a lot of late pace from some of the other horses. But I thought it was interesting that he's an early run style, and he has the best or one of the best late paces in the race, but they're projecting him like really far back for the most part. I'm not really sure why, and he's 8-1. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something with this horse. He just got his best speed figure switching the Mertkin Cantamarcy, who I know their horses are pretty good. Maybe not that consistent, but if they get anything close to the last race, I think it's a competitive race for this horse. Well, there's a ton of early speed, and I will throw a couple in there, like the Fuski, technically the early speed, even though he has the best late speed. I'm not really sure what the deal with that ranking is. Because most of the other horses are obviously the other early horses are obvious early horses, and he's not an obvious early speed horse to me. He's like a kind of just off the pace. So then I would go next with the 4 Big City. This is the second race after their maiden win, which I like, and the last 2 races have been their best speed figures. Good workouts. This is a cutback in distance, which might suit the pace for Big City here. Also pretty good late pace, but also is constantly within a length or two of the speed, so he's going to be right there. I think the question maybe is he's coming from Gulfstream, and I don't know how well those horses come to Saratoga usually because it's just such a speedy track down there. But he has been working out here at Saratoga for a little over a month, and they're good workouts. So I like that. I like the early speed. He's got one ride with Joel Rosario down in Gulfstream. Yeah, I like Big City maybe as my top horse. A little bit more confident in the Fuski, but there's just so much competing pace for Big City that I'm not sure how they'll work out for him in the end. But I would throw one more horse in, the 8 Edified, just based on, again, improving speed figures, race some of these other horses in their last race pretty close. Ricardo Santana hasn't been that great this meet. He's been okay. Steven Asmussen as well is like lower than you would expect, but the pace I think kind of works out for Edified as well. It was let's see, yeah, so like 3 or 4 of these other horses were in Edified's last race, and I think he had a slow start. He kind of broke out odd, and it slowed him down a couple steps at the beginning, and he still only finished third by 2 3/4 lengths. Right there with Mariachi, who's in this race. He beat Noda, who's in this race, and I just again think there's going to be a lot of early speed that maybe benefits some of these just off the pace horses in the 6 furlong dirt track. But I would throw Edified in there because I do like him as a comeback spot against some of those other horses he just raced closely. I like him a little bit better than the other horses. Second best late speed in the this race. So him and Dafuski maybe put up a good show at the end if it's a hot pace early.
Do you predict early speed or late speed winning this race?
That's yeah, it's hard with these Saratoga like middle like sprint distance races because some of the races it's all early speed and they hold on, and other races it's like similar fractions with the early speed, but it's the late speed that wins it. This race, I
Mm.
do feel like there's like three or four really early horses that maybe compete enough that they wear each other out, and that's where you see like Edified or the Fuski Island scooping it up late. I guess Edified maybe has been a little further back in some of these races than the Fuski Island. That could be one drawback, but they were close last race, and that was after a bad start, so I like it.
I like it too.
All right, let's go race 10. This is the big boy, mile and an eighth dirt race, the personal ensign stakes, grade 1. Only a 5 horse race. These are horses that know each other quite a bit, have raced against each other a lot even recently, and I'm just keeping it simple and going single leg with the Flo Cox combo on Idiomatic, the 4. I just don't know how you go against her this race. She's beat Sullivan Angel quite a few times. They raced really close last race out, and I feel like maybe they weren't pushing Idiomatic as hard as they had to that race just to kind of see, just to get her ready for this race maybe. Because this is a rematch also against randomized. Sullivan Angel, I guess technically Raging Sea. I don't. Oh yeah, they raced a couple back. Yeah, in that race where randomized beat Idiomatic by a head, Raging Sea was also there but lost by 4 lengths, and then Raging Idiomatic beat Sullivan Angel by a head next race out. And I feel like this is setting up for the revenge race for that the Ajin Phipps in Saratoga. I think this will maybe be Idiomatic's chance to beat all of those horses at once again. Best late speed Idiomatic, but also can get out early and set the pace. That's what she's done in quite a few of these races. So I think it's going to be whatever she wants to do. Since it's a 5 horse race, she can kind of control the pace and then just hang on late and fight for probably against Sullivan Angel, just like in that last race, and probably beat him again. But yeah, I'm going just a single there. So keeping that's how I can distribute a little bit in some of these other races, like the 11 that we'll go to now, and I'll have a few more horses in this one and in the last race.
Look who's on that one horse there. Look who's on the quick power nap.
Race 11, the number 1 quick power nap. We got Flavian on it. Hit the sound bite. I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm not gonna go with the Flav horse in this race.
What?
I just didn't see enough there. Speed figures are up and down, and they've lost to some of these other horses. This is also a kind of weird pace setup in this race. It's a lot of early speed, but it's a 5.5 furlong sprint, so a lot of early speed is probably going to be finishing close to the front anyways. It's hard to know when to go with the late closers here at Saratoga right now, and I've been missing them more than hitting them, but I've included 1 or 2 here that I'll go over, and I'll start with the 4, Delightful Dixie, or what number is she? 5, Delightful Dixie. She's got good early speed, improving speed figures. That's kind of an angle I'm going with this week a lot, is improving speed figures, horses that are training up to this race well. This will be the third race off of the maiden win. And I like this angle where third, they win the maiden, they come back with a good show. That was a personal best speed figure. Next race out was a higher class, and they didn't do as well. They still finished sixth by only 2 3/4 length against Linderite, who's also in this race. And there's a couple other horses in that race that's in this one. And then this is like a good comeback spot, I think, on a good like month of rest. Back to Paco Lopez, who won that first out after maiden with the 87 speed figure. Pretty good late speed, pressing speed from this horse. I think maybe sets it up a little bit better than just the pure early speed horses. The Equibase pace projection has them pretty forward on this pace constantly. I guess maybe because they're inside, able to save some ground. But oh wait, that's not the 2. I'm looking at the 5. Yeah, still pretty inside, saving ground. I think it's going to give it a pretty good chance. With Paco Lopez on good workouts too since the last race. That's good. Next, I probably the favorite here, my Bronx Baby. Just pretty much, you look at their past performance, and they've been leading in 4 out of 5 races that they've won. Well, in the 4 races that they've won, they've led the entire way, and then the 5th race they tired out at the end. Good speed figures, competitive with this group of horses. First time on Lasix, switching the Dylan Davis. It was with his sister Jacqueline, and she was winning a lot with it. I think that's a good angle too. Like if Jacqueline's on the horse and doing well, I'm sure she's going to pass on what she needs to Dylan, and he's been killing it at Saratoga right now. Best early speed out of this horse, are obviously, so this is probably the speed to beat. I guess the only drawback is this is on turf, and this is the first time this horse is going to turf. It's been a good angle, I think, at Saratoga to meet horses at first time turf. But that's the only thing you could maybe fade this horse for, is that just the worry that they're not gonna do well on turf. And the trainer James Ryerson, he's 0 for 6 dirt to turf. Not the small sample size, but something to keep in mind. And then I would throw in at least 2 more in this race. Throw in the 10, Fabulous Fox. I like that they kind of similar to Delightful Dixie, looked good in that last race where Linderite was in that race as well, who's in this race. Good speed figures, improving. Got Manuel Franco on it. They're switching the Manuel Franco from IRAD, so maybe not an upgrade, but I think the early speed style suits Manuel Franco a little bit more. Christophe Clement, trainer here. Again, 15% last 30. That's lower than you expect for him. Just kind of a theme at Saratoga this meet. Lower than expected win percentage. But came in 5th by only a length and 3/4 last out in that race with Linderite. So I think any kind of better trip, and they have a really good shot at winning it. The pace is probably going to be pretty similar in this race, about 22:45 or so. It might even be a little faster. Just there's so much speed in this race. You can see that last race was actually a lot slower than expected for Saratoga. The track variant was really slow, which typically does benefit forward running horses. But if there's any kind of slow pace like that, 22:45, 22:46, Fabulous Fox and Delightful Dixie, I think, can kind of just run the entire race. So we'll see how the pace sets up. And last, I would throw in Linnerite just to kind of go as an off-pace angle, since there is going to be so much pace. and they've been consistently putting up like better speed figures than a lot of the competition. A couple dud races, I guess. One of them was off turf, and just not being able to finish. Second by a neck, second by head, third by 4 3/4, third by 2 3/4. Just always right there and not finishing. So a little bit of seconditis, and a lot of people might fade that as well. But it's just so much early speed that I wanted to throw in a horse that's at least been finishing really well at 5.5 furlongs on the turf. John Velasquez getting back on it. Yeah, can't go against John. Mm-mm. Good late speed. I guess maybe a question of how far back on the pace will he be, because he was 5 back at the stretch last race. I think if he's 5 back, that's probably too much this race, which would be the main concern with him. With her is she's just too slow early, which I'm not going to throw it in as an official pick, but Aunt Yola the 11, kind of similar profile to Linarite. Just won her maiden last out, which is like an angle I don't go in, is off the maiden, especially without like some kind of exceptional speed figure or time. But it's like she's like the only other real kind of sustained runner in the race. Some of these also availables maybe, but I don't know if they're gonna get in. So yeah, I'll just keep it to Linarite, and I'm making this ticket really thin. That's kind of I'm gonna do that going forward for the most part, is keeping most of my tickets thin so you can add on to them. And this is probably going to be thin enough that you could add on Aunt Lola and still keep it like a $30 or $40 ticket. It'll be like a $32 ticket or so, 24 or 32, the one I'm giving out. Crazy how few Flav picks I've got in this pick 4 actually.
Doomed to fail.
Yes. All right, and we'll switch to the last race. It's a maiden special weight mile on the inner turf. $100,000 maiden for maidens, fillies, mares. And I think this one is a little easier to read than a lot of maidens at Saratoga for me. There's kind of 3 or 4 horses that have shown they're actually really good, and then a couple horses that have shown some just average speed figures.
And say ass.
Just shown that they're straight ass. No. But there's actually a couple good looking horses I think in this race. We'll start out with the 10 Vina Arana, an Irish horse. This is their first start in America. It's a Jack Sisterston. Jack Sisterston. First time Lasix. Crazy speed figure last out. Highest of the whole bunch here. Also really good class rating. So I'm just kind of betting on that typical foreign horse angle of like they're coming in just like crushing higher competition, and these horses might not even get close to them. It's like a lot of times that happens with these horses. It's going to get Tyler Gaffalion. I like that. Kind of a tactical horse from the last replay I saw. Second best average class in speed. I don't know. I like the on Lasix angle. There's a lot of good stuff looking at this maiden. Also got a really far outside post position on the inner turf. Pretty far out for a maiden race. I don't always like that, but I think on this inner turf, it doesn't really matter that much for some reason. Especially the mile. Should be enough time to come back if they get a slow start. And then I would also throw in the 4 Strife. Really good run last time out at another same class level at Saratoga. This is a cutback a little bit, 1/16 of a mile. This is their third time on turf. I like that angle, kind of improving speed figures on turf. This is Joe Rosario with Christophe Clement, 19% win rate together. Pretty good for this meet, honestly. And just overall, probably going to be forward place in this race and has some of the better late speed. And I like the forward post position for them. I think they should be able to get out without too much chaos around them compared to maybe some of the horses at 1, 2, 3. I think there's going to be a lot of activity. They're quick, trying to get out of the gate early. Yeah, not beat Pisciata, a British horse that's also available in this race, and I actually really like Pisciata. I don't know if they're gonna run this race since they're also available.
Pisciata.
But I would honestly, what?
Italian name.
Italian name, but a great British horse. Very international horse. Well traveled, well versed in foreign languages. I would probably add Pisciota to the ticket if they get into the race, depending on who scratches, I guess. Strife only beat Pisciota by a neck last time out. Strife was also bumped a little bit, I think, early on in that race, so look for a little bit of an improvement in a race where they finished second behind Deep Satin, who absolutely just crushed that race. Strife had a really good strong run at the stretch. I like that. And then also I think one of the better speed figures outside of Vina Arana.
What were Strife's odds?
Strife, Strife is about 7-2, so 3.5 to 1. Pisciota looking like a 9-2 if they get into the race. That's probably going to drop. Vina Arana 6-1 actually. Wow. And then another horse I would throw in here would be Catalyst, the 6. It's going off at 8-1 actually. Eric Cancel with Chad Brown. They team up at 47%. They're actually a really good team up. I think Eric Cancel is kind of like a tactical speed guy as well. This horse last time out had a really good run in like a inside to outside move at the stretch to try to win it, and then like stumbled and kind of went outside with like a couple hundred yards left in the race. So came in second by only a length still. Actually got disqualified because when they went outside, they pushed another horse. So finished second, but got placed third. But they were only a length behind the leader in a race that they had a lot of trouble in, and had a far back kind of inside trip for like the first part. They kind of squeezed them against the rail a little bit. I like the comeback spot here. First time out, 90 speed figure. Second time out, 86 speed figure. After so much going wrong in the race, I think you're going to see an improvement on that, and possibly even a new personal best if they're able to get a good trip and do what they tried to do last time without any trouble. Going off at 8-1, I think that's a crazy price. I don't think it's going to be at that bad at the post time, but really strong looking horse. Maybe a little small compared to some of these other horses, I guess. Let's see the stride length. 22, 23, 24. What's some of these others? Pisciota 22. Yeah, so like catalyzed actually kind of a smaller stride length with a lot of strides per second. I kind of like that for this race if they're getting a good trip, because they're able to keep up their pace longer into the race, it seems like, which is nice. This is kind of a murky pace too. These are young horses, not a whole lot to go off of, but Equibase projects a slowdown of pace in the middle of the race. May be tough for a sustained running style. Yeah, it's hard to say. I think Catalyze should be like just off the pace, and if they're able to get maybe an outside trip instead of against the rail, and not have to worry about making a move if at the end, they should just be able to kind of sustain run down any early speed that was leading. It should be a good run for them either way. I like them here. And this race and the last race, there's like a lot of horses you could look at, honestly, but I'm gonna try to limit it to the ones I covered here. We'll see what I actually do at post time. All right, let's do a recap. Race 9, I'm gonna go with the 1, the Fuski Island. 3, Big City, and 8, Edified. Race 10, I'm singling with Idiomatic, the Flowcox. Race 11, I'm going 4, Delightful Dixie, 6, My Bronx Baby, 9, Fabulous Fox, and 7, Linerite. And you could definitely add another horse or two in there to look. And then 12, the last race, the maiden race, I'm going 10, Vina Rana, 3, Strife, 5, Catalyzed. And then Pisciota, I guess if they get into the race, I would probably throw them on there. But if you do all of those, even with Pisciota, that's only a $18 ticket. $24 ticket. So yeah, plenty of room to add on there. And a real quick extra in race 5, we got Roses for Deborah. This isn't part of the pick. I'm just gonna throw this in. I like Starguest in that race in pick 5. Apple Charlesby. This one does have Flav on it.
Let's go.
So Flav on it.
Yeah, we do.
But I really like how that race is setting up for a Starguest. Good pace. Probably Deborah's for Roses for Deborah is going to get pushed a little bit. And this is kind of a comeback spot for Starguest. Good workouts too to get some early speed in the horse at 3 furlong. But yeah, Friday and Saturday are gonna be good racing days. Any closing thoughts?
No, I just need to make some money bad. So
Yeah, I hear you.
So pressure's on you because rent is due.
Hope we can all pay rent after this episode. I did pick some
Free rent.
Some higher odd horses. I felt like the Fuski Island 8-1, 4.5-1 Big City. Edify 5-1. Like these are some good odds. Idiomatic, you're not gonna get good odds on, but as this pick 4, I think it's a good single. So these are actually kind of more interesting races than a lot of previous weeks at Saratoga. I feel like the pace is kind of interesting. Delightful Dixie 6-1. Linerite 4-1. Right? Yeah, the weather's finally been sunny, and they raced a race on the turf today, and it was all dry as well. So as long as it doesn't get much rain between here and Friday, it should be good to go on the turf. Dirt should be fast and quick and dry, and the handicapping should hold up a little bit better than when they change 8 horses at the last second, which is what they've been doing.
Saratoga.